Hello, everybody. Bill Thornton, SoCal Saber here. Thank you for stopping by. We're going to talk about some music, what the music I listened to this week, albums and CDs. And at the end, I will pick the two that I kind of enjoyed the most this week. This was a very varied types of genres of music, and it was a pretty nice week. I started it off with this 1974 LP, The Heart of Saturday Night by Tom Waits. Now, please, in very good condition. There's no inner in this one. I now have 7 LPs in my collection. This, this one's been classified as contemporary jazz. I don't know if you want to call it contemporary jazz or blues jazz or whatever you might want to do. This was the second album by Tom back in the day, and critics were not kind to him when this one came out. And they talked about his puns and music and his ill-advised stuff that he put on him, too self-conscious, limited in mood. Yet one of the writers added, it demands to be listened to after hours, when the cloud of self-pity and gloom has descended and the vino is close at hand. This is show you the back cover again. This was in there is an inner in this. I am sorry about that. It's a nice inner with the lyrics. I remember reading the lyrics as I listened to this one here. If you took it literally, you could say that Tom was in a depressed mood and he wrote about this guy and wrote about this person that lived the nightlife only and was despondent and so forth. I don't know. I probably was like that a couple times in my life too, but not as deep as what is in this record. But to me, I really liked it. Not so much for the lyrics, but for the music that accompanied the lyrics. The bluesy, slow, medium blues. So, I wonder, what was Tom writing about? Himself? A friend? Or was he just a good writer with a great mind to come up with something? As a person that is late to the game with Tom Waits, I enjoyed the bluesy jazz style music. VG on the week. And that was The Heart of Saturday Night, the 1974 album by Tom Waits. Okay. Next one on the week was this was a 2021 reissue of a 2010 album. It's called Diamond Eyes by the Deftones. It was new, it was sealed. This is the only thing I have in the collection. Why is it new to me? I don't know. I never had, honestly, I don't know if I've ever heard of them before. Recently, this was their 6th studio album, and they're an alternative metal band. And it says Diamond Eyes. What I read, Diamond Eyes was a critical and commercial success, peaking within the top 10 of the U.S. Billboard 200 and 7 other international charts. It's the band's highest charting album on the Billboard 200 since their 2003 fourth album. So why did I pick this? Well, I was down at Spindles in Temecula with my son. And we went over there. I kind of like that record store, so we went over to check it out. And I wasn't finding anything that was calling my names. So then I remember watching a video during the week, a recent video from a guy named Anthony who owns a record store in New Jersey. One of the questions that they presented to him was what's hot now? And he says, Deftones are selling out everybody right now. So that was in the back of my mind. That come out, this Deftones album was there. So I picked it up. They're in the collections. That sometimes it's classified as heavy, but it's livable. Okay. And it was okay, but I'm not sure that I'll be chasing any more Deftones music, because it just didn't register to me that high. And so, although it was okay, I'm just going to give it because in my liking now, has no reflection on anybody else's. In my liking, I'm only going to give it a G. For good. All right. Good's good. All right. So that was the Deftones, Diamond Eyes, the 2021 reissue of their 2010 album, New to Me. Anything I got in the collection by them. Then I want check out another one that I got on Whatnot. And this is a 1983 album with the shrink still on it by Kool and the Gang, In the Heart. I actually have 3 LPs now by Kool and the Gang in my collection. The only inner that come with this one here, I'll put up with the tracks, is the paper sleeve that we no longer use. Okay, let's see. What I got some notes on this. Let me check my notes here. It was kind of nice. I got a little bit of boogie woogie, and I got some disco to got my day started that day, and that made my day start off on a very good foot. This was their 15th studio album by Kool and the Gang. 4 singles from it were released from the album, and 2 singles became major hits on the U.S. Hot 100. The first single, Straight Ahead, failed to chart on the Hot 100, but the second single, Joanna, sorted number 2 in the charts in the U.S. and the U.K., and hit number 1 on the U.S. R&B chart as well. The third single, Tonight, brought another major hit as it peaked at number 13 in the Hot 100. This is was pretty good for a 19-year-old group, which had gone through quite a few personnel changes over the years. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this. So even though that's not my favorite style, it was good. Let me show you the album. I don't remember showing you the Deftones, but I think I did. It was in really, really good shape. I think I got this from Esky. You hear me say her name quite a bit. She's probably my favorite seller on Whatnot. She has a very nice material, and she demonstrates the quality of the record, the album, the quality of the cover, and she's pretty accurate and sends good stuff, packages her very well. So check her out. We used to be able to get things relatively inexpensive when she first started off, but now she's grown big in popularity. And so it costs a few more bucks to get those, so I don't get as many from her as I used to. All right, so I'm going to give that one a G+ for the week. That was In the Heart by Kool and the Gang from 1983. All right, then the next one, I want to show you something I really don't like with this too. And you're going to say, why is this not in a cover? Well, I have 2 different size covers. I have for normal and I have for big, what do you call it, albums. But I'm going to show you why it's not in the cover. I use Kool and the Gang as a demonstration. Why they did this, I don't know. Look how much bigger this album is compared to the normal size ones. It won't fit in any of the sleeves. I imagine if I do a lot of hunting, I'll find something that it can fit in, but it does not do in the sleeves. But anyway, this is a 3 LP, the 2025 reissue of a 1977 album by Gentle Giant. It's called Playing the Fool. Now, I had Gentle Giant on my list for a long time, but a lot of Gentle Giant stuff was kind of costly. I do have one other album by them in the collection, But this came out. I got on the pre-order for this one. I listened to it. Try to show you everything that we got going here. Came out. I've had it. Whoop, and there it goes. Because we have no inner. There goes the obi, which I had to put on the inside to hold it in place until I opened it. Why they made this that big, I'll never know. Okay. And then it's going to open again. I'll show you the back. This was originally released in '77. The new version is an expanded and remixed edition of a double CD, triple LP, and Dolby Atmos Blu-ray. The version restored the songs to their original running order and including additional material from the band's most recent studio at the time, the album called Interview. This is definitely prog from the early days. I'll show you one of the LPs. They all came with sleeves with the polyvinyl, so at least they did that right since they made the big thing wrong. Vinyl's in really, really good shape. I did enjoy this very much. It took a long time. It was because it's 3 albums. I listened to them all in one day, and I'm glad it's in the collection now. I still have some Gentle Giant on my wish list. I have another one on my wish list. But anyway, for the music, I'm giving it a VG on the music. This overall, this production would have been excellent. But I'm only going to give it a fair plus because of that oversized album cover. So fair plus on the production because of the cover, and VG on the music. Glad to have it in the collection. I'll probably find something someday that I can protect that with. I think if you go to vinyl storages, you can get all kinds of different sizes. I'll have to check that out. You know what I was thinking? What just popped into my head. You know what I did this week? I don't know. Couldn't believe I did this. On my phone, I always carried the names of music albums that I wanted to find to look up. This was called. I accidentally deleted it. It was a 1-knot file. I couldn't recoup it. So now I lost half the stuff that I could remember. I started building a new list, but that's going to take some time. All right, it's time for some CD action. First one of the week is number 145. It's the 1993 album by Bon Jovi, Keep the Faith. Must know I like Bon Jovi. I have 1 LP and 11 CDs in the collection by them. Him. This was the 5th studio album by the American rock band. It was Bon Jovi's last studio album to feature all 5 of the original band members. And is also Bon Jovi's longest album to date back then, checking in at 66 minutes, which is quite a bit for back in those days, 93. Got a nice little book lit here. Keep the Faith peaked at number 5 on the U.S.'s Billboard Top 200. The album produced several hits for the band, including Keep the Faith, Bed of Roses, which I really like, and In These Arms. I don't think I showed you the back long enough. I'll show you that in a second. There's the CD. Up there so you can check the tracks out. This was very enjoyable. I'm giving it a VG for the week. This is Keep the Faith, 1993 album by Bon Jovi. Number 145. So now we're skipping to number 149. So I checked my database, and yeah, 146 and 147 and 148 are 3 CDs that are in one of the CD box sets. And this 149 is another 1993 album. This one is by Phil Collins, titled Both Sides. I have 2 LPs and 3 CDs in my collection by Phil, and that does not count any stuff he did with Genesis. It's just his solo work. This was the 5th solo album by Phil. And this album was created entirely by himself, without any collaborations from outside songwriters and performers. The album achieved commercial success, reaching number 1 in the UK, number 8 in Australia, number 13 in the US. Nicole also went on a highly successful tour upon its release. It lasted 100 performances in a year. You imagine that's just like an average of 1 every 3 days, just about 3.6 days, something like that. That's a lot of traveling and a lot of performing. I found it kind of mellow, and I'm not sure that I would had a good time if I'd have gone to this concert with this much mellow songs and not any of his hits on there. Anyway, peaked on number 1 on 7 of the 19 charts it appeared on. So a lot of people were involved in it. A lot of people were involved. Isn't one of my favorites by Phil. But what he did was he also did a little liner note for every song in here, saying why it was produced or why, what it's about. So that was pretty nice little touch. So just basing it on, being mellow, not too mellow for my taste. And I do like Phil Collins, but I can't go VG. Best I can do for this week for this one here is a G+. That's Both Sides, a big hit. Not for me, but for a lot of people from 1993. All right. Now we're getting to the time for where we pulled the album out of the collection. It's already in there. And this week's was number 82, I believe. We're really moving along. Number 82, and it is a 1978 LP, Time Passages by Al Stewart. You can see it's been in my collection a while. Check out the tag with the number on it. That's how I used to label them in the old days. So I knew where they were in my database. This was the 8th album by Al. It is the follow-up to his 1976 album, which was a big hit, Year of the Cat. Year of the Cat actually put him on, to me, in the limelight. He had done quite a few, like 7 or 6 albums before Year of the Cat. That's one that. And here's some good trivia. Like Year of the Cat and the 1975 album Modern Times, it was produced by Alan Parsons. Yes, Alan Parsons. Alan Parsons, of fame of he produced, and he was the engineer on Dark Side of the Moon. He was also an assistant producer on Abbey Road. So Alan Parsons. This is before Alan Parsons became big as the Alan Parsons Project. Nice inner with lyrics and credits on it. Title track, Time Passages, occupied the #1 on the Billboard Adult Contemporary charts for 10 weeks. This album also charted in 7 other charts. It's in really good shape. It's been in my collection probably since '78 when it came out. That'd be 47 years ago. This was '78. I was in Europe. For half the year. Half the year I was in Michigan also, so I could have bought it in either place. I don't know what month it came out in. But it's traveled. If I bought it in Michigan, it traveled all the way to Europe. Spent 3 years in Europe and traveled all the way back out here to California. A lot of traveling, still in really good shape. That's Time Passages. Mel Stewart, 1978. Okay. What did I like the most? All right, this was a good week. There was a lot of good music in this week. A lot of good, the battle, and as you noticed, there was quite a few of them that made the VG cut this week. And so it was kind of tough. Let me know what you would have picked if you had to make a choice out of those. If not, let me know what you listened to this week. I like to hear from you. Net. Go down there and hit the like button, please, and subscribe and do all that good stuff to help the channel grow. So the first one that I picked was the 1974 album by Tom Waits. I think all of you know that I have become a big Tom Waits fan over the last 5 or 6 years. I missed him in his heyday, but I'm getting caught up with him now. And it was the heart of Saturday Night, the bluesy jazz album by Tom Waits. And then I went through my Playing the Fool. That was really, really good. I like that one a lot. Keep the Faith by Bon Jovi was really, really good. But what I picked was Time Passages by Al Stewart, the '78 LP. Really sounded good. Good music. I think I appreciated this more than I remember doing it in the past. But, at my age, memory is gone sometimes. But anyway, I enjoyed it today. So, thank you very much for stopping by. SoCal Saber saying take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and stay safe.